That Entrepreneur Show listeners, we have a very special interview ahead. I'm catching up with my good friend Trent Clark, who we met about 3 years ago at Podfest. Shout out to Chris Kremitzos. He did a speed networking event at the end. We got put at the same table, became friends ever since. He's a rock star entrepreneur. So let me bring him back. Trent, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Yeah. Hey Vincent, so good to see you, man. It's been a wild ride, man. What a 3 years, right? Like we were actually pre-pandemic. We met right before
Right before.
yeah, I mean literally like before Friday the 13th, right? March 13th, which is kind of when I think MLB, which is you may if your listeners don't know, I'm a longtime MLB guy, coached 3 World Series and then shifted to entrepreneurship, right? And man, at that time I remember MLB sending like the minor leagues home, and it was like, wait, what are you guys doing? Like, hold on, like, and so we had just met before that happened, and man, it's just been crazy.
It's been a hectic ride, and in a hectic time period, we've had the ups and downs in entrepreneurship. Trent's going to touch on all that and more today on That Entrepreneur Show, the podcast meant for high achievers and those looking to tap into new levels of success. I bring on founders of companies and brands from all around the world each week since December 2019. And today will be no different in that we have a rock star entrepreneur. We'll let Trent talk about what he's doing. He's got some new stuff on the horizon, a new book getting ready to come out, all of that and more. So, Trent, you could take it away anywhere you want to start on your entrepreneurial journey. Floor is yours.
Yeah, man. Well, I really appreciate that, man. It's been a crazy journey. One of the things that's probably been absolutely critical for me in this journey is the entrepreneur organization. Let's start there. Like a group of 18,000 entrepreneurs worldwide. And there's some pre-qualifications for an entrepreneur. You have to be in that group. You have to do $1 million or more in revenue per year. And so, what's absolutely shocking, Vince, as we talk about entrepreneurship all the time, is that about 3.5% of all businesses actually generate a top line revenue of $1 million. I mean, that's amazing to me because like when we think about our government and who's representing the small business owner, like you're so small, like who knows? Like, hey, we do a great business, we do $650,000 and taking care of my family, and that's awesome. It's incredible. And man, when you talk about 10 million, you're talking about 1.7% of all businesses. I mean, this just gets rare air so
Rare.
fast. And man, business is hard, right? It's a hard thing. And I think you and I talked about this on one of your shows previous, which is that I think it's injustice, of the media today to be like, hey, get a website, be an entrepreneur. It's easy. Like, really? Like, man, please don't sell that message because this thing's pretty tough out here.
It is not easy, and something that never gets easy is, well, it gets a little easier, but just taking so many no's or so many no responses, so many no answers. And I live by this motto that it only takes one conversation, one event, one connection to move that needle. I talk about this to you a lot. Feel like I've been right there for a few years now, but obviously COVID has been challenging times, especially for someone who's been trying to be a school speaker, where schools no longer had budgets, time, or energy to give the kids any activities, let alone my own, as I was a sub as one of my part-time hustles. But you find a way to keep weathering the storm and evolving. Something you've been doing to evolve is knock the new book out of the park. That will be coming soon, but let's preview that to our audience.
Yeah, super excited about that, man. And you're right. It is not. The resilience thing's a big deal. And now we have an NIL company, AIM, right, which we're super excited about, and the AIM Academy, where we teach young athletes, even before they go to college, high school athletes, like how to be an entrepreneur. This is the NIL entrepreneur. Name, image, likeness has come down and struck into college sports, which is fabulous. And now it's slowly leaking down into high school sports, which is
Amazing.
really cool. People
Yeah.
can make money because they influence people. They have big followings. And you've got 50,000 followings. That's a lot of people to influence. And so there are brands that are happy to get into your audience and be like, hey, Vince, you've got this entrepreneur product. I have a company that delivers directly to entrepreneurs in a way that helps them navigate their personal finances in like separate retirement accounts, self-employment plans. So being an influencer yourself, we have this ability to, on your name and image and likeness, because people know Vince Lancy and that entrepreneur show. So a financial firm might get behind you and say, hey, I'd love to speak to your 50,000, 150,000 audience every week that says, hey, if I'm an entrepreneur, I could navigate my personal finances a little bit different than your standard W-2 employee 401k, because there's a lot of tools out there.
Yep.
And so it's a great opportunity. And for college kids, man, this is like entrepreneurship 101, like start a business, start up an LLC, protect yourself. You're going to go out there for people on your name, image, and likeness and talk about a brand. And
Yep.
there's a way to do that and do it the best way. And I mean, Vince, you went to the University of Tampa. I mean, can you imagine as a kid going down and you were a ball player back in the day, playing baseball, getting a scholarship, and then starting life with $60,000 in an account because you've made some NIL money and learned about taxes and customer service and branding and marketing. And now,
Yep.
by the way, how about this? This is the one I really love, Vince, is like, think about when you come out and you want to come and work for a guy like me straight out of college, and you go, oh, hey, Trent, I think I could do some things for you that would be really impactful. Here's my degree in business, and here's the 5 chief marketing officers of one of this liquid beverage company, 2 of this restaurant group, 3 of this baseball product company, and they're all happy to give me a reference on a guy who I've branded things for them. And I'm like, wait a minute. You were a college athlete that balanced all your time. You got good grades. You've got 3 chief marketing officers as your references. Like,
Yeah.
hire, brother. Like, come on, man. Like, you got some serious skill sets for any 22-year-old. So this entrepreneurship thing, I love it. And so to be able to teach it is a bunch of fun.
I absolutely love the idea of kids getting paid for their likeness. I think with that should come some kind of financial literacy coach of something to make sure they don't get rid of that money. But for a long time, colleges were profiting off these jerseys, and these guys weren't getting anything. Guys like that aren't even in the league anymore, like a Baker Mayfield, for example, someone whose likeness was as big as it can get in college, a Reggie Bush. These guys were bigger than life, and they made no money on the millions of jerseys that were sold in their name. That doesn't seem fair. But now, because of the great work, like former athletes like yourself that are pushing that needle forward, spreading that message, you're helping these kids achieve things that we didn't even know were possible. When did this new company get off the ground? But before we get to that, and I am excited to share that this summer's episodes will be brought to you in part by speaker coach Cesar Cervantes, specializing in helping you get your transformative message to the TEDx stage. Guaranteed. To schedule your free brainstorming session, visit the link in the show description or CesarCervantes.tv.
We got off the ground a little bit over a year ago, and we were super excited about launching. Definitely behind the 8 ball, actually, because they made it legal back in July 1, 2021. So it's been just the 2-year anniversary just happened, right, in 23. So it's really it's progressing quickly, and the reality is Vince is like it is a business. I mean, I think that's where kids they're reading the headlines of a person like Baker Mayfield, or I would use like a Bronny James, LeBron's son, who's
right.
Was slated to make $5 to $7 million in high school NIL before he ever went to college. So that was a real number. And I mean, I think there's a real like we talked about, there's a real 1% rule that kids are going to make millions of dollars for doing things that are in that space and being able to create real value. And so that's awesome. But there's 570,000 college athletes. So there's going to be like 5,000 that's really unique, that really make some big dollars because of their prowess in football or basketball or really major paying sports. But for the other 565,000, I mean, making $1,000 a month, like you said, quote unquote, in a side hustle, I'm already social media, I'm already on. $12,000 a year is real money when you're 20 years old.
It's real money. And like you said, you're building the foundation of learning about a business, taxes, protecting yourself. I think the more education we can get people at a younger age, the better. Then they make the sound decisions. And even if they are making, say, even $200 a month, right? A, it's better than zero. And B, you're building the foundation for your brand post ball. You may not be able to go pro, but now you already have this foundation built where, okay, where are you going to take this? Like even for me, it started out with the books and then it extended to the podcast. Now it's extending to the coaching. All of these things, piece by piece, just continue to grow the brand. You've enlightened us a lot today, Trent. We talked about his brand new NIL company, some experiences with his entrepreneur organization, the power of connecting. He's got this new book coming out. We're going to have him on Writing with Authors in just a bit so everybody can learn a little more about that. Is there anything you want to touch on today before we sign off?
Well, I think, Vince, one of the things that I think that you touched on, and let's kind of dive a little deeper into that, which is getting these kids educated a little bit about how money actually works. We know for years that that has not been a focus of high school curriculum, and man, it's a big deal about how money works. These kids are being thrown a lot of opportunity now. Wages are coming up, how taxes are structured, how wealth management's created, what's a depreciating asset, right? Like, what does that mean when I buy a car? Like, it's losing value immediately, right?
As
And
soon as you drive
so,
it off the lot, it's less.
yeah, that's right. So it's, I think there's that education that I think is so important today. And I think it's people like you and your show that's really helping these kids to get opportunities to understand that there are tax implications behind things and how do I create wealth generation. And I recall like a lot of athletes. Here's a really tough one for me, Vince, back in the day. Athletes that were going out and going, hey, I made $4 million and I only spent 3. I think I'm doing a pretty good job. Unaware of taxation, agency fees, these things that are associated with your career and these requirements. And man, it's a real challenge with people to understand, like, hey, what do I get to keep? What's possible, and what's really a challenge, and where that money's going out. So man, it's hard. And the NIL thing is no different, Vince, when you think about like someone who just goes out and makes $50,000 in NIL, but they're also getting like an educational discount because of their financial status or financial aid. You may be losing that financial aid now because you made 50,000, and they haven't thought about, oh man, I made $50,000, but I lost $20,000 in financial grant money. So it's a factor to consider, right?
I love that perspective. Again, everyone out there, educate yourselves if you're not being provided with the resources. I mean, you've seen the 30 for 30, I'm sure, broke, where the athletes talk about, oh, I bought houses for sister, brother, but oh, there's maintenance on those houses. There's taxes on those houses.
Oh, yeah.
There's this on that. And then they're on a show called Broke. But before we sign off, Trent, you mentioned podcasting. Trent also has an awesome podcast for Winning Mindsets. I was lucky enough to be a guest on that. Let's plug your podcast quick, your social website, any ways to get in touch with you.
Yeah, please tune in on the show. Winners Find a Way is our show. Love the quote. Winners, when shown data that they are losing, find a way to win. I seek out people like yourself, Vince, who face hard and tough things, and yet it looks like, hey, some things aren't working out well. They find a way to win. I've surrounded myself my whole life with people that absolutely find a way to win. When faced with adversity, they are solution-minded, and that's really a crucial element to the entrepreneur, of course, as you know. And so you can find me anywhere on all the social medias at Leadershipity, LeaderShipity, or Trent M. Clark, or AIM for NIL. AIM, the number 4 NIL, and that's our aim4nil.com website and leadershipity.com website. So you can find me on all those, man.
aim4nil.com. Of course, he's got Leadershipity. And with that, I am at VincentALancey.com, YouTube, Vincent A. Lancey. Go there to get some video peeks of this episode. The show is streaming on all platforms and is at That Entrepreneur Show. With that, we're signing off today from Florida across the country to my man, Trent. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Vince, for having me.